week of Split 2 in North America, and boy, do we have an important roundup for you this week. Now, if you follow Brawl esports, well, I guess you're watching this show, so definitely do. Anyway, then you know that 2023's competitive landscape got a massive overhaul when North America was split into two competitive regions for BSC, NA East and NA West. Teams have been making major roster moves and trying to decide which region, East or West, they want to compete in next year. The whole scenario gets a little complicated, but don't worry, we're here to break the whole thing down for you. While there are more implications than just this, there are three teams that will really have the biggest impact on the SPS, and those are Vatra, Chasmac Gaming, and Obey Alliance. Now, you'll remember that CMG did not compete in Season 2 Split 1 because the players went with a new org, Obey Alliance. Well, as we'll explain, they're back with a new squad for Split 2. Also, you're probably thinking that one of these teams is already in the challenge after Split 1, Vatra. Well, perhaps the biggest news to come out of all of this is that the Mexican powerhouse team Vatra has officially disbanded. That's right, Payne, Juan Carlos, and RBM will no longer be competing together. The org will probably be on the hunt for a new roster as soon as possible, so stay tuned for more information there. But for now, they are not competing in the SPS. But it turns out that Juan Carlos and RBM will be sticking together, but they'll be brawling under a new banner. What new banner, you ask? Well, to answer that, we need to talk about Obey Alliance. This was the roster during Season 2 Split 1, but following the big news, they decided to split up. Toast and Fade then joined forces with Juan Carlos and RBM to form a band the likes of which has never been seen, and they called themselves CMG. That's right, Toast and Fade are back with their old org, and they've picked up a couple of sluggers to boot. We'll see how well they gel as a squad in a bit, but whoa. On paper, that really looks like a super group. Okay, so now you know the story about Vatra and CMG, but you're probably wondering where Chino, Patchy, and Payne landed. So let's talk more about Obey. In order to tell this story, we've got to go back in time. Producers, to the TARDIS! Whoa! You guys actually got me a TARDIS? Time for a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. Okay. Let's go all the way back in time to July 2022, just before the Season 1 Challenge Finals. Remember that Charles left West Coast. This will come into play in a big way soon. Also, right around that time, Chino left Vatra and joined CMG, which at the time was comprised of Patchy, Fade, and Toast. Then we played the Season 1 Finals, where STMN won an amazing match against Tribe Gaming to be crowned the Season 1 champions. Now, CMG were always considered to be underdogs in that tournament, but after their 4th place finish, their contract with CMG expired, and they went in search of a new org, which they found in Obey Alliance. They played in Season 2 of SPS under the new banner. Then came the news that rocked the Brawl esports world and prompted all of this chaos. BSC split North America into two competitive regions, NA West and NA East. With this came the whole flurry of activity with Obey, CMG, and Vatra. So then there were 4 big names left as free agents: Payne, Chino, Patchy, and remember Charles? The Obey Alliance org was looking for a new roster and scooped up most of the free agents. That's right, Obey is back just in time for Season 2 of the SPS. If you're wondering about Payne, of course, he was scooped up very quickly. He joined forces with Luffy from No World's team to compete for Mystic Esports. Okay, that was a lot. But now you've got the whole scenario and context, so let's finally dive into the action from this week to see how all of these new teams gelled. So here's the Cup 1 semifinals bracket, and with all the shakeups between the two orgs, could there possibly be any more appropriate poetic justice than for CMG and Obey to face off in the first big final since it all went down? Well, ask and you shall receive. CMG took down threat level 2-0, and Obey did likewise against Papi Chulos in their semis match, setting up the ultimate finals. The Obey org looking to one-up some of their former players who decided to go back to CMG, the new CMG supergroup trying to prove their supremacy. It all came together in the Cup 1 finals. It began with Heist, where CMG picked up a comfortable first round. The second round came down to the wire, though, with Charles and Chino finding the perfect angle on the blue safe, while Patchy defended their own. forcing a deciding round in the final seconds. CMG learned their lesson though, defending their advantage ferociously instead of overextending in round 3. RBM managed to hold the line with just 174 HP, crushing Obey's hopes of taking the round and going up 1-0 in the match. Brawl Ball proved to be an even closer contest. After a minute of skirmishes over the field and ball control, Toast managed to run in a goal as Obey respawned to defend. Obey responded with a perfect fight for mid, taking the 2v1 advantage and easily scoring versus the out-of-position CMG defense. What remained of it, at least. As overtime approached, CMG postured for the attack, placing RBM up front while Toast and Fade drew attention in the middle. An absolutely absurd shot from RBM rolled in and put Blue on match point. Obey started to look a little off balance with their backs to the wall, and CMG knew exactly how to capitalize. After a minute of back and forth, they completely demolished the red defense and put in an effortless goal to go up 1-0. But then, Obey went back to their strategy from round 1, leaping off the respawn with such a skillful attack that they counter-aced CMG and rolled in a goal of their own to equalize. Instead of posturing for overtime again, CMG changed it up and started taking smarter trades, which resulted in complete midfield control. Obey was left trapped in their spawn with no option left but to defend for their lives. CMG seemed to sense that victory was imminent, so they gave Fade the ball as Toast and RBM crowded the front of the red goal. With the 3v2 advantage, it was just superiority of numbers, and Chazmac was able to take the set and the cup. Chazmac is already looking unstoppable with their new lineup, but that was just the first cup. I know we've covered a lot in this video already, but there's still a second cup to cover too. So let's get to it. While the top 4 from Cup 1 were all US-based teams, in Cup 2 we had some representation from Mexico. In the semifinals, Papi Chulos defeated Trio Tijuana 2-0, and CMG dispatched Lightweight Babies in similar fashion. Lightweight Babies? I love esports. That put CMG in back-to-back finals, while also giving Papi Chulos a chance to earn some much-needed points in this first week of play. Let's see what happened. The finals began with Bounty, and we're just going to show these last 20 seconds because it summarizes the match fairly well. The scoreline was 2-3 favoring CMG for well over a minute. Eventually, Papi Chulos had to go on the offense, as a counterattack in this case, but CMG knew it was coming and simply played around it. It was close, but the red side looked pretty comfortable throughout. Set 2 was Heist, and again it was close due to evenly matched field control, but CMG started playing smarter in the second half. Fade went for an all-in on the blue safe with RBM and Juan Carlos supporting from range, and got some good damage in. But as second best went for the counterattack up the left lane, perhaps thinking it would be a base race, the 2 remaining red attackers simply demolished the blue safe after dispatching the lone defender. CMG was on match point. Now you may have heard the phrase, the best defense is a good offense before, and here's the perfect example of that in action. Right off the start, RBM took the right lane, with Fade following shortly after as Juan Carlos defended versus the blue attackers. The Poppies got some good damage onto the CMG safe, but it wasn't worth the trade as their own safe fell to 33% in the blink of an eye. Off the respawn, CMG pushed up using all 3 lanes, confident that an overwhelming attack would win them the cup. And it nearly did. Fade must have had somewhere to be right after this tournament because he pushed up mid with haste, running over second best and Jigsaw like they were mere speed bumps. The blue safe, already in shambles, stood little chance, and CMG claimed their second cup of the split in dominant fashion. After back-to-back wins, we had to check in with Toast and get his thoughts on the new roster's early success and how they've been feeling as a team.
Oh, it's been amazing. I mean, me, RBM, and Juan were all really good friends before we started teaming. We've been playing like smaller tournaments together for a few months now, just for fun, just because we're all really good friends. And obviously I've been with Fade for more than 2 years now as like my long-term teammate and really good friend. So for me, it's been amazing and really easy to chem with. I was kind of nervous at first with how they would play with both of them because first of all, there's a little bit of a language barrier because they speak only English like decently, while we only speak English. But it's been amazing. Like Fade got in with them really, really well, and everything's just been coming amazing. So it's been great. That's nice. Definitely better to start off a new team with wins rather than losses. But I think I went over with one of our teammates yesterday the games, and I think there's still a lot to work on. I think even though we won, still a lot to improve on, and I definitely could have done a lot better yesterday. So we're definitely looking to still get better and have much bigger goals in the future.
Well, they're off to literally a perfect start to achieve those bigger goals with an 8-0 record in week 1 and a firm grasp on first place with 200 points. Papi Chulos and Obey Alliance are still well within striking distance, but after their losses to CMG this week, they're probably going to be studying the tape to try to get a download on this new supergroup. Also, look at all these new team names we haven't seen on the show before. Talk about the era of everyone. What a crazy start to Split 2 in NA. Now, the North American players will be taking a bit of a break over the holidays, but I'll be back next week because the newest region to the SPS, India, is kicking off their Split 1 tonight. We'll also be publishing on Thursdays for the next few weeks to work around the holidays, but we'll be right back to our usual Tuesday schedule after the new year, when NA will also resume their competition. We'll see you next week.